Good afternoon. I am Michelle Oak, Director of Employee and Labor Relations for the School District of Indian River County. I'd like us to go around the room. We're going to be talking about negotiations this afternoon with the IRCEA. So if we could kindly go around the room and introduce ourselves.
Mike Smeltzer, Human Resources.
Jennifer Freeland, IRCEA.
Liz Cannon, IRCEA.
Carla Pettit, IRCEA.
Nope, and anonymous individuals.
Yes, and then we have a gallery of
We have a
two.
gallery of folks. Can we get introductions from you all?
Matt Rollo, IRCEA.
Ren Robb, IRCEA.
Jerry Goyer, IRCEA.
Okay, did we get everybody?
Well, you have Tom Lentz from FEA, and
FEA,
Gary-
yeah.
and then Gary from FEA as well, Gary Simpson.
Okay, and then one more person.
Ren Robb.
Marie Correa.
Ren Robb introduced himself.
Is Ren
And,
down there?
Yeah,
See
he
him?
said it.
yep, he said hello.
Okay, hi Ren.
Before I forget, Michelle,
Michelle.
Gary's name spelled with two R's.
Is it
He's not-
one?
It's one, and so
Okay.
he's not getting anything that you're sending.
In the email?
Yes,
Okay.
there, now I won't forget, done.
Okay. Very good. Oh, thank you very much. All right, good. So we're starting our 19, 20 to 21 or further negotiations. No?
20 to 21
Or further.
possibly
Yeah.
beyond.
Yes. This is our first season of getting started on that this contract year. So we're currently between contracts, so we want to, work diligently together to get that resolved. I want to recognize IRCEA for they will be bringing to us a training on, what do they call it? The collaborative
It'll be
model.
interest-based bargaining.
Yep, and so we're going to learn that method and work together to have that help us with the toughest problems within the contract and the toughest challenges we have going into this next thing. So I do want to recognize IRCEA for that, and thank you for bringing that to the table. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be really advantageous for both the district and the association. So.
Thank you.
So that being said, let's discuss how we're going to proceed today. I was thinking we would start with, just talking about the general return to work plan a little bit. And then listening to the proposals from you guys. I got a couple proposals, and maybe proceeding in that way.
Well, let me ask a quick question.
One of the problems with the return, we got it today.
Yes.
So
kinda
we've
fresh.
only been, and we haven't even
Our
gotten
team
to.
hasn't seen it yet either.
Oh, the team hasn't.
So, we looked, there are definitely things that need to be negotiated within that. One of the, and I'll just bring this up, one of the big things that does concern us, and actually I've talked about Mike about this as well. We have concerns with people that, I'm gonna say, personally, I brought my mask today. I am fine with the mandatory mask enforcement and things like that. But unfortunately, we don't negotiate for me. We negotiate for the 1,100 teachers of Indian River County. And there are people, I'm not quite sure, I don't understand it, but again, there are people who are very much opposed to wearing a mask. We have concerns about what would happen with them if there was some kind of a mask mandate agreement. We know that there are currently, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there have been some lawsuits filed in some municipalities throughout the state.
There have.
And so, we don't really know where the legality of it all is. But the bottom line is our interest is protecting children, but we do have concerns. So we want those out there for you to think about how we can address
How we would address it.
the concerns of those individuals.
Okay.
Did I cover that?
Yes, and also, not to interrupt your bargaining, but I talked to Paul about it today. We're more than happy to come together and come up with a solution.
Okay, good, and I appreciate the openness
He's
on
waiting for
both sides
a
for
phone
that.
call, sorry, so.
Okay, good. So as I, look over our plan, that was rolled out today, and I'll give you guys, of course, more time to look at it and we'll have to come together again. I started to think about I started thinking about those same issues, right? How would that look for individuals who, A, prefer not to wear a mask, 2, or for a protracted. I do too. I was going to mention that I think that we've addressed that in terms of, when social distancing isn't possible, right? Well, there's a couple job situations in which it's not going to be possible, and those individuals under this plan would have to wear that. So I'm thinking of the case of, maybe a TA or perhaps in the CWA's case, a bus driver, right? Or a teacher who is in an ESC kind of scenario, right? Could potentially have that issue as well. So I would like to hear kind of your initial thoughts regarding how would we handle that kind of situation? What language would, they're laughing at.
Well, I think
We're
that's
laughing in
the
general.
problem.
It's not at you at all,
It's
I
very
promise.
challenging
Oh,
for
absolutely.
those of us who are not, I think one of the big things is I have to talk to some of the people who are opposed. So that is, and find out some of their reasoning, some of their concerns and things like that, because I don't know. That's why the I don't knows that's one of the biggest problems with COVID.
They haven't yet
Too
been
many
as vocal.
Yeah.
So it's something we're gonna have to gauge as we hear it, so
Yeah.
we'll put something out.
So, maybe I would ask you to kind of take an informal or formal survey of folks and kind of find out what that looks like for the population. Are they, are most people, good with it, no problem? Or some people like, that's gonna be terrible in the temperatures? And so I kind of would like to gauge what that kind of looks like and what the member concerns are specifically that we can perhaps address from a plan standpoint. That being said, there'll also be, I'm sure we'll hear, from some parents that are concerned about same, right? My kid doesn't need to wear a mask. Why do I have to wear a mask around these students? This kind of stuff going on. So what if my kid loses the mask, and we've talked.
He did answer some of that though in
And
within,
talking about
Yeah,
for
educating.
students.
Yep, I think he did, yep. And so how does that look for us adults is really the question we need to answer. And then the next piece of that is once we kind of figure that out, I wondered if it would be appropriate, remember we signed this MOU, the one that talks about the emergency order? And that's kind of the one we're under right now, right? So I have wondered that after we kind of iron out some of those bugs, and I believe this would have to be board approved. Did we determine whether that's going up?
I'm pretty sure it has to be.
Yeah, the plan, I believe, goes through the board as well.
This one.
Tomorrow, yes.
Yeah,
Once that plan is that way, perhaps the document itself becomes an amendment to this that goes hand in hand with the current MOU.
Well, even if the board approves it prior to negotiations, we still need to negotiate the working conditions. So,
Right.
I mean, the board is approving it under the understanding that we will negotiate.
Right. And
So.
presuming we can negotiate those issues that are of concern, perhaps the plan in its entirety with that additional.
instead of making the wheels, what you're
This
saying,
is what
instead
I'm
of
saying.
rewriting
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah, would you
Well, and
guys be
that's-
open to that
we-
concept?
Printed it out. I actually put it through, I made it into a Word document so I could type on it.
Yeah,
And so
Even
we
busy.
have some notes, but like I said, it's just, it's, the two of us talked today. We haven't really had time to talk to the team about it. So
Okay.
I'd be apprehensive to jump right in.
of course.
And, you actually sparked another thought to me,
Uh-oh.
especially with our ESC population.
Yes.
There are times particularly when, we have to do, the restraint, masks get knocked off and, it's definitely not social distancing at that point. So you don't even think about it as one question is answered, 10 questions follow.
Sure.
So it is a very
But
challenging time.
We can't you
No,
know,
I know.
afford the time nor the pain in our heads to figure out every what if, right? Because, you know, the start of school is coming upon us. We've gotten a bit of a reprieve, obviously. But from a planning standpoint of practicing in the school standpoint and getting people into the routine standpoint, you know, we're gonna have to kind of, you know, wing it on some of this stuff. And I've seen with the V pre-K, I never say it right.
VPK.
Yeah,
I never do either.
they have sort of lived through a little bit of that,
Mhm.
you know, what if situations. Yep, Mrs. Murray was there. And, you know, when I listened to Brooke Flood about that issue, it sounds like they've run across some of those what if situations, and they've had to, you know, figure it out as those situations came about. And I suspect in most situations, we're gonna be confronted.
But if
That
I'm,
way as well.
if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm mistaken, the summer school programs aren't directly related to us.
Well, no, so the summer school programs have, you know, there is a foundation
Sure.
following the contract, but there are, because they're hourly, they're not, there are variances in that. I do know that, you know, I mean, you brought up pre-K and we already had some questions about pre-K. And lunches and things like that. Yes.
They've
You
been
know,
through some of that hard work.
They have.
One is that they've laid a foundation, but pre-K students also, the sheer number of the classes are much more manageable than when we go back to full time.
Yes.
And also the adaptability of a pre-K student versus, I'll use mine, 8th graders. There is a significant difference in that whole personality exchange with a teacher.
Tolerance.
There is a different, I will acknowledge the difference of the compliance level between grades. Good.
So that's,
Very
yeah.
good.
Are you okay with me sharing this with my team, the electronic version of this? Is the county
Yes,
okay with that?
absolutely,
Okay.
yep.
Because then I'll send it to them so they can start.
Because it was sent to us for the think tank. I
Right.
don't know, has it been posted on the website at this point?
I'm not sure if it was posted, but that was I'm sure it is posted because that's
It's going on.
foundation of his discussion today.
I just don't want to share it about if it was just for the think tank.
Yes, no, please feel free to do that. And
So you guys will be getting a copy of it eventually, today.
If you haven't,
Yeah,
if you
we'll
have
get that to you
Dropbox, it's
today.
in there.
And then I also have a copy of the PowerPoint that he went through during the thing. Would that be useful?
I have it,
In our email. We
in
can,
our email. We have it in our email.
Okay, I would share that as well.
Mhm.
So for me, now that we know what the plan, you know, the fundamentals of that plan are, let's figure out what working conditions are changed for the members. And let's figure out if within that document and framework, we can negotiate through what those issues are. So our members have some guidance in terms of what to do. So that's kind of my goal. I want to, in a perfect world, get that wrapped up quickly. So our teachers, our staffs and things know where we're at, what we're doing and what the plan
We
is.
could meet again on this next week.
yeah, are we
So we're
scheduled
gonna
for
go
next?
away.
Oh,
Do we
because
have-
we were gonna do
like-
every other.
You were
but,
thinking like sooner?
I was thinking like Wednesday.
Well, we have health insurance at 4
We have high
o'clock.
tech on
Thursday?
Wednesday at 4.
Uh,
I'm okay Thursday, I
I'm good
think.
right now.
Gary,
I gotta get it.
Gary and you guys on there, we're talking about coming back on Thursday for this. Matt, Ren, you okay with that?
I can do Thursday, yeah.
Gary,
What
What
time?
time? Yeah.
what time are we talking? Because that's the next question.
Same time, same channel?
Same time?
That'll work for me.
It's okay.
He's, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Gary? You good with that?
Yeah, that works for me.
Sorry, Jerry.
And that's fine. I mean, I can't make it on Wednesday, but go ahead with it.
So Thursday,
Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday's good with me.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
if everybody else can do it on Wednesday, go for Wednesday.
Oh, no, we were going Thursday because we can't do Wednesday. We got high tech.
With the goal of let's walk out the door with an MOU.
This one specifically. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll get that to you guys tonight.
yeah.
Yeah, so whatever that looks like, I'd like to tie it to this one that's tied to the emergency order. Okay, because that way we know the time frame, which may get changed by the state, and we can just kind of walk through that. Really, these emergency plans, if the state undeclares an emergency, it's done.
Yeah.
Right? We're back to normal, whatever. Or they.
Well, the
Or-
contingency should
or
all stop at that
If we
point.
don't believe in it, we may
Right.
just come together and form our own little emergency.
Emergency.
Exactly. Right.
Just want that contingency out there, because, you know, everything's fine.
Yeah, so, and that may differ by parts of the state as well.
Yes.
So, so that's kind of what I was thinking on the first one. If we can- Yes, ma'am.
So I'll do a Teams invite again too, to make sure you guys that can't come out yet.
This time we'll know how to work the TV.
Yeah, it's frozen right now. It's been frozen for a while.
No, that's okay, it works.
No, it's pretty frozen.
No, I know, but it freezes, but then it goes to somebody else when they talk,
Got it.
so. All right,
It works for me. I'm
Yeah,
talking to you guys, so.
Yeah, it shifted.
okay, so I think if we work together and get that kicked out pretty soon, and I need to phone up you and Paul and do same. I think if we can all, identify what those working conditions are that have changed or have altered or have shifted in any way for that plan, then let's get that stuff negotiated, done, and put it into MOUs.
and I would also love to just also include the caveat, because with the benefit of the 3 weeks, teachers being back without students,
Mhm,
things that we haven't
Possibly
anticipated
mhm.
could come up. Are we willing to sit down and make amendments to such
Absolutely.
if that happens? Because
Absolutely.
like I said, we think of everything, and then
Yeah.
somebody pops in and says something, and we're like, okay, didn't think of that. So that's
A
a,
few things yesterday while I was.
yeah,
It's the truth, and it's like we're in the twilight zone,
Mm-hmm.
we're sort of running into new things every day. So, whether those rise to the level of actual change in working conditions. and-
or
and
it could be a
terms.
labor management.
Yeah, so the other issue I want to broach in that thing is an issue I brought up just for discussion recently about the 30-minute issue. The district would like to move into that MOU, the concept that the first 30 minutes for elementary, okay, and that, I believe it's, Jennifer, help me.
It varies from school to school.
That's the problem. It varies from
Yeah.
school to school. For me, it's the morning,
Mhm.
but for some schools, it's an afternoon.
Okay, so for those periods of times where in the contract, it's the 60-40 thing, we would like to have it district controlled the first 9 weeks and then teacher controlled the next 9 weeks.
All right, I have 2 questions first. Number 1, are the 9 weeks going to change with the change of the start date? So,
I have not heard such, I would say no at this point.
okay. And 2.
That's how I understood it too, is that there was no change.
Okay. The other, so the time outside the student day, the additional 30 minutes
Mhm.
somehow, basically instead of, in essence, administrators can use 3 days a week, teachers get 2 days a week is how. So what you're asking for is to do that for the first 9 weeks, and then for the second 9 weeks, the administration.
Couldn't use any of it.
Correct.
All right, I think I understand it, but we'd have to obviously caucus on
And they're
this.
just hearing it, so.
Oh, they're just hearing it, okay.
it.
Yeah.
So with that discussion regarding the MOU and regarding this emergency plan, now that we've had the plan put out there, I'd like you to consider that as well. Now, it looks like because we're starting a little later, because the first time I brought it up, we were coming back the 10th, right? Now that we've lost the 2 weeks, it's really from the period from the 24th until the 9th week
October.
of, quote, the traditional semester. So what is that, October?
Oh, so the semester or the 9 weeks?
The 9 weeks. The
Okay,
9 weeks
so-
would have started the 10th, but
Yeah.
really it's not going to pertain
So
until the
9 weeks
24th.
ends in October or something, in
Correct.
the middle of October, as
Yeah.
opposed to the semester ends in December.
Correct. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yes.
Did you guys catch all that? I like, uh-huh.
There was a lot of nodding of the heads there really quickly. That's
I just
great.
want to make sure I have it here, because I just put that, we'd like the additional 30 minutes, 60-40. to be district controlled first 9 weeks and then
Yes.
school-based
Um,
or administrative, not
Teacher-
school-based.
Teacher-based.
Teacher-based,
Second,
so
yeah.
teacher planning, teacher-based.
And the purpose of that is to be able to give principals the ability to tuck and roll as things are occurring.
And have a little more
And student
time
needs are-
themselves to
yes,
set up
Because
schedules.
it's gonna take us a while to get into a decent routine. And we're gonna need all the boots on the ground. So-
Before we get away from this too far,
Mhm.
because we're gonna take a couple days, I want to give you a chance to look at, we were looking at the page 6, it'll be, you can call me later, but we were looking at the job descriptions for those, and you might want to look at those before we come together again.
Okay,
One of the things that we looked at was that a teacher on assignment
Mhm.
job description could conceivably, those could fall under that.
The traditional district learning, we're saying they could possibly fall under teacher on
who might find
Assignment.
it?
the traditional distance learning group,
Okay, uh-huh,
and
And
possibly overlap.
Yeah.
We just don't want to rewrite the wheel
And
right, or
truth-
recreate the wheel right now, so.
beyond so the utopia that we'd like to have, when we finish this negotiations in just a couple of
We're talking
weeks,
utopia.
we're
I
done
think I
with
gotta
that.
go to the bathroom again.
I think that it would be a wonderful idea to sit down and actually reconfigure some of our job descriptions. Since 2016, IRCEA
time for a
has been
committee.
making a huge effort to have a unit clarification, and we've been unsuccessful. There has been a bit of a change in your office, so it's been rather challenging to get this process rolling. But one of the problems is that our job descriptions don't always match our teacher position names, and
Like,
you remember the chart that we
Yeah.
had that was
Yeah,
like,
So, and I agree. I mean, I think when the job description started out, the idea was to have them generic in nature.
yes,
Because you have teacher secondary, because whether you're middle school, high school, you could teach, so
Yes.
you don't have 100 job descriptions for each little.
yes,
niche.
I mean, because even if you look at the difference between the elementary, the secondary, culinary arts.
yes.
Career and technical, I mean, they're all pretty much the
Mhm.
same with a few small differences, but then, as time's gone out, people, well, that's not my job title. Yeah, but you're, in essence, you're a
Duties as
teacher,
assigned.
so.
Yeah, so I think that it would be beneficial if after this, that we really delve into that, maybe ensure that we have a job description for everybody, even if it is generic, and then we can process our unit clarification finally. Our lawyers will love that. So,
I reviewed that list quite a few times.
yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
and we're always going back
Appreciate
to it, yeah.
It cracks me up because we still get that, hey, no, just don't ask now.
But for the
No.
purposes of this,
Yes.
we're talking those
Yeah.
two job descriptions.
Well,
Make
and
sure I got
those-
them right. So which, the traditional distance learning?
The transitional
Transitional.
distance
Transitional.
learning more closely relates to teacher on assignment or on duty. And then the Indian River Virtual School falls back into the regular teacher, but there's some overlap in there.
Yeah, I think that you might want to look at current to see if that's why a teacher on assignment, I looked at it and it looks like it could apply.
Well, and
No recreating the wheel essentially.
Yes,
Well, and I thought about this too, but in my simple mind was, well, you're still teaching your subject area, so the regular job description could
so,
apply.
Until you
and
add video.
so the transitional, you're planning and prepping, but the virtual, you're not necessarily planning and prepping. That's where
There's some changes
the
in
big
there.
difference. So that was what I noted, and again, I scanned, I did not
The planning and
study.
prepping happens, but it wouldn't be as great as the other
As
two.
the other two. Okay, I'll discuss that with Mike and Dr. Suit, and they can advise us kind of what.
And do we
Both
have
of them
any
start.
other counties who've had virtual? Because we might be able to like restart, again, not reinvent the wheel. Let's see what somebody else has.
Yep.
Granted, from looking at what we're doing compared to what some of the other counties are doing, yeah, let's not
Let's
do
just
what
keep
they
doing
do.
what we do.
But,
Keep doing what we do.
That's a great.
We're good.
Yeah. actually, I've been talking to Dr. Sue a little bit, and she is doing some benchmarking of those virtual descriptions. She's been researching that actually a little while now, and so I told her your comments with respect to that, so she's gonna take a good look at that and kind of advise us what that could look like. With respect to the benchmarking of other districts, we have found out quite what you have found out, which is Indian River County is actually a leader, both with return to school plans and other plans. So I got a kind of a benchmarking call from another county today, and they're much larger than us. And they let me know that they're a hot mess. They're a hot mess. They don't have a plan for their return to school yet. They don't have leave procedures. They don't have the union in communication with them about stepping together through some of this. So I really do want to tell you, I'm proud of the communication and the collaboration that we've been able to build here with both unions.
I have to say though, that's come from your side as well. That's not just us. That has come from the new team and the new administration. That's definitely been from your side as well. It's not just us making
Well,
that.
we appreciate
It is a mutual-
That is a mutual relationship.
And I'll tell you, you can really see it when you talk to other counties.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm very proud of the entire team that we've, got going here. It's great synergy and I'm excited about it. So, we're gonna be benchmarkers and we didn't even know it.
I was in a group of union presidents and I was pretty happy to say that I work for Indian River County. It was
Yep.
a nice change.
And that's very, very nice.
Well, and that's, one of the benefits of going to those FEA events is you could look back, yeah, we're doing okay.
Leave me out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
so-
just when we think we have a lot of problems, look next door and sometimes you'll see that, that we're doing,
Well,
the
And I
grass
will
is not
also, I
greener.
mean, I did a little, because we got some questions on our website, on Facebook about charters, and I was just curious. The charter high school is the only one on their website that has published
A plan.
a plan. I have been a little bit floored by that.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it's not to say they're not communicating with their,
Some other
I'm
way
not,
maybe.
I'm not saying that, but, wow.
Yeah, so,
So, again, kudos.
Absolutely, and as much as people have been worrying and things like that, just remind them that, a lot of work has been done on our plans. Is it a perfect landing? Are we gonna land perfectly? No. But at least we're gonna land. Some of these other ones are still
Yeah, they don't even have the chassis of their car built yet.
precisely.
Yeah.
So I,
Yeah.
We've at least got the
it
chassis to sit
helped me
on.
today to put some of this in perspective, right? Because there's a couple days last week, I was like, I cannot deal with any more of these questions, right? What if the sun is and the left leg is facing north? No. But it gave me some perspective about, you know what, we're making progress.
Yes.
That's very good.
Wading through.
Yeah, so that being said,
So-
that's one, thought I had with respect to the plan itself.
So Thursday, 4:30, we're gonna
Yep.
work that.
We're gonna go through that.
Okay.
Okay, and see if that's an easy win there.
Did I miss?
I did. I took it out and put it back in.
The second topic I wanted to tell you about today was, that we got a communication from the state. I'll send it to you so you have
That
it.
can't be good.
It actually is good. It's about teacher salaries.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
well, that's right on
what we're gonna
topic,
talk
because that's where
about.
we're headed.
That's what I knew that, so I knew you all have full attention to this issue. So anyway, it's from the Department of Education, and it's to the superintendents and telling them, hey, this is happening, here's, how to allocate that money and stuff like that. A couple excerpts that I pointed out for myself that might be interesting to you all. So this is the biggest teacher compensation increase ever in Florida, and a statement to the nation that Florida is elevating the teaching profession. So it's going to take us from like number 26 in terms of salaries to guess what number? Close.
What'd you say?
Well, no, it's going to take our starting salary from 26 to.
Not our whole
2.
salary schedule. Well,
To 2.
Yeah, but that's a big move, guys.
Oh,
And
the
it's
starting
going to-
salary,
it is.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to allow us to attract and retain very qualified teachers from fine places.
so glad you bring that up,
Mhm.
because we're going to bring that up too.
Yes,
Are
we
you?
are.
Okay.
And we have a plan to help you attract and retain those
We
teachers.
I'm
did.
glad to hear that,
We
because
do.
now we have a new
Retain
director
is
over
the key word.
retention and recruiting that will be interested to hear that. So the starting salary, okay, average, is gonna go from 38 to 55. We're just gonna put
Those for the state, oh, I know.
Because they want us to get to 47.
We
We
want to
know.
get you there too.
We want to
Me
get
too.
you there too.
So this is a paradigm shift. Now, a couple things. So 400 million for increasing teachers' minimum base salary and not only increase the starting pay in every district and charter school, it will also impact more than 50% of Florida's current full-time K-12 classroom teachers and certified pre-kindergarten teachers, meaning that many veteran teachers will also benefit from these changes. Okay, the additional, so 80% is for that. 20% is dedicated for salary increases for the following: full-time classroom and certified pre-kindergarten teachers who did not receive an increase as part of the 400 million. Teachers who did receive an increase from the 400 million, but their increase was less than 2% of salary, okay? So even if you were in that first group and you didn't go above 2%, you still are eligible for additional salary increase. And other full-time instructional personnel, okay? Specifically student personnel services, librarians, media specialists, and other instructional staff, which answered our previous question that we had months ago and we didn't know the answer to. So I thought that was good.
This just came to you guys today?
Well, in an official fashion, right?
Oh, okay,
We've
because
also-
I'm like,
There's been
I'm like,
snippets. Yeah.
I'm feeling a little arrogant because I'm like, I knew
We
this.
already knew that.
Well, it's stuff we all sort of knew, but it's the first time I've seen it drawn together in one document, kind of instructing us what to do. Which means it's happening, right? It's not just,
Oh, we ready.
okay? All right, now, so it requires each school district and charter school to develop a salary distribution plan that clearly delineates the planned distribution of funds, okay? It prevents these funds from being collectively bargained for other purposes, stating that the teacher salary increase allocation must be used solely to comply with the requirements of the section. Okay, so that's just, and then they gave us a whole bunch of la 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 la. Here, for Indian River County, okay, 2.4 million will be the 80%, and the 600,000 will be the 20%. However, all of that is reduced, yeah, I will, by the charter school amount, which I don't know that number yet.
So I will tell you in our, because we did request that information from Mr. Fagan, but had not yet heard. In years past, it was 5%. I made, so our proposal includes a 5% draw to charter schools. So we
Okay.
did address that.
Okay, so, you know.
We have addressed all of this. We are
This
so
is
on
all
top
news
of
to
it.
me, right? So we're sharing it today, and that's it.
But
All
hey,
right.
we can sign our proposal. I'll be happy.
So what happens is, once, you know, those issues are bargained and the salary schedule's figured out, it goes to the board. And once board approved, it has to be submitted to the state. So there's a whole process they go through. So,
Now, this is the one thing that because in my research, I could not find a sample report. I do understand that there needs to be a report, and I could not find a sample report because I was planning on even writing that for you. I wanted to gift wrap this for you. That was our goal. So we've done almost as much as we could to gift wrap it. And if you like, you could probably even send them our PowerPoint as your report, since nobody else has a report. We could
be first at that too.
Conceivably be
it's
first.
good to be first.
Let us be
Now,
first.
What they did is they provided each district kind of a link to send those plans to. So it's just kind of interesting that they're, you know, really getting aggressive and getting that done, even though the state is in chaos with the COVID and all that. So I thought that was
You could have
very
just said that
encouraging.
the state is in chaos.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Okay, so I'm ready to share. Are you
Okay.
ready to share?
Now, all right,
Excellent. And
no
that,
peeking.
the The reason I
Okay,
brought
I
that
want
is
you to
because
go
I
through
think you guys
our
are coming.
PowerPoint, we're giving you a copy of our PowerPoint.
Okay.
We'd like you to go through it in our progression because there, thank you.
I can't find this thing.
Behave yourselves.
Yeah, you can.
Otherwise, we're going to take them away from you.
Oh, look, I'll get practice for when I get back.
And sorry, Mike, you don't get a color copy.
I'm colorblind, so it's fine.
So,
It's as if we planned it.
thank you, Carla.
Okay, we are frozen up there.
So-
Yeah, they can't
Oh,
see it
yeah,
up there,
We're definitely frozen.
but they can down here. You
Okay.
guys can see this, right?
But you guys have copies in front of you.
Okay, so
So-
right now we're going through the union's proposal.
Our
Hold
salary-
on.
Salary proposal.
And see, this has been, when this was first announced, this has been my baby.
You
So
guys couldn't see that, could you?
Okay, let
me redo it.
has been my goal, to bring this forward. So I've been working on this for months.
Well, we appreciate all the work and effort.
I don't like
And
Teams as
honestly,
much.
these activities have been helpful to
Mhm.
both the
I see
district and you,
movement.
so I appreciate
There you
that.
go.
There, do I have it, guys? Can you see it?
I see it there.
All right.
Perfect.
So rationale, second
Okay.
slide. So Florida legislature began salary teacher salary, yada, yada, yada. At the end of the 1920, according to some of the data that Mike shared with me, we had 531 teachers earning less than 47.5.
Okay.
Sorry.
The difference between the current beginning salary is 6,200. The current salary schedule is kind of a mess with 270 increments.
If I may add a comment there, Mike was educating me this morning about that. Can you
Yeah,
comment?
so, I mean, and you may address this in here. You know, my thought was is kind of the salary schedule with those 207, just getting rid of it.
Me too.
And just having.
How did you know it's coming
Just
up?
having the placement.
Come on, you're getting, your paper, your paper, make me take away your paper.
We're gonna teach
Okay.
that interest bargaining class, I'll tell you that right now.
Somebody's excited.
I couldn't detect it, it's hard to
Okay.
tell.
Guys, I'm
So then we
proud of
also
this.
could address the problems with the placement schedule, because with the placement schedule that was set up, when we first went to a performance pay schedule, there have been, many teachers are coming in at a higher than the people who have given their as dedicated work for years. So we would like
Mr. Allen
to,
Observer once in.
Yeah, I will respectfully disagree with that, because over the last few years, because the question comes up, and I've even done examples with some teachers saying, well, you know, teacher so-and-so has been hired, and I went through it with them. So I will concede that if someone is not getting highly effective,
Mhm.
yes, someone could come in
yes.
above them.
Well, and actually, there are
if they're
different,
getting highly
because of the
effective-
different shifts on the placement schedule, because it's, in some places it's 300, some places it's 600, there are. And I actually, data, I didn't include.
Which we'll get to in a second.
I have it here. I don't know if I have an email ready to go to you to send you my data. I don't know if I included that, but I will send that to you as well. I have addressed it. I do, like I said, where I am, and it's also challenging because performance pay is generally not. New teacher comes in, they are coming in at a higher, but we are made whole if we've had highly effective the entire time.
Right.
So.
And your PSC, if your annual contract, you're
Yes.
pretty much keeping up whether.
We
it's
have-
But again,
highly effective
we
or
have
effective.
data that.
We have a
covers
plan
this.
for that too.
All right, so the final thing, one thing that we've heard from our members, we do not want everything. The veteran teachers who have given years of service to this, we don't want unequal salary increments, just piling it on the brand new, and those of us who have given 20 plus years to our district. We just find that such an unfair, so we have come up with a plan for
Okay.
that,
Of course we have.
all right? So I did a little graph, obviously you can't read it because it's, but you can see.
It'll be up there in a
the
second.
majority of our teachers on the, that red line that goes through, those are the increments that are below
There it
the
goes.
47.5. So you can
Okay, so
see,
that's your
definitely see.
531 people?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, that was as of I mean, that number changes very. So I just wanted, I made a chart. So step one, return to a 90 increment schedule. Eliminate the 270 to the more simplistic. Step two, compress the three increments into one using an average salary increase for the three. So if you go to slide, I guess
It's delayed, guys. It'll catch up.
the transition plan.
Okay.
And when you get the PowerPoint, you'll be able to see, and actually, if you'd like, at the end of your packet, there is a full-on transition plan right after the PowerPoint, so you can see how the increments. This one?
Yep, that's
Yep.
it. You're there. Yep.
I think you're a closet accountant.
Nah, I just really like Microsoft Excel. So our transition plan begins with so one of the reasons we started with 47.7, it's to maintain the $300 increment. It allows Indian River to boast the highest starting salary while incorporating a simpler salary schedule. Each transitional increment averages approximately 6,300. You'll notice like where those 1A, 1A, 1A1, 1A2, they all veer into just one. So if in one of the spreadsheets, and there was just too much data to show, but I think it was like 62 on one, 64 on another, but this was the most even breakdown of it, so that it's not, I mean, somebody who's getting, they're getting $200 more on their salary schedule, nobody's going to fight that one, because this is such a good plan for all. So, as I said, then you can see it breaks it down. It still looks like a big old mess because it's incorporating all of that, but you can see the next page is the placement schedule, so you can see it fits onto one page then. So
Those
then,
aren't on slide, right?
yep, create step 3, create a new placement schedule.
Yep.
This I found the most challenging. Well, let's talk about our data. So what I did is I took a sampling of 25 PSCs, 25 ACs, and I tried to go all realms. I even included a lot of our board members in the PSCs because, use and abuse us. So annual contract teachers earn an average of $2,400 more than those entering the district with the same number of years of experience. Based on a sampling of 26 annual contract teachers of anywhere from 1 to 20 years of experience. So our assumption on that graph for the outliers is that are individuals who chose to change from PSC to AC in order to earn more money. The assumption is based upon the years of experience because your PSCs are 13 and above, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in that neighborhood. So that's where you have your outliers there.
So just so I can understand it a little bit better, how did you come up with the average that the new hires coming in?
So what I did is I sat there with the old placement schedule and the old placement schedule, current salaries of these individuals that I picked, and just did the comparison of how many years of experience from the data that I have. I only have their years in the district, so that is another assumption.
Okay.
So that was where I was, I'm going with the data that I have.
Okay, no, that's fair.
And then the next slide where it shows PSCs earn an average of $1,344 less than those entering with the same years of experience based upon a sampling of 25. I don't know how I got 26 in the other group. Somehow somebody snuck in there. And they have anywhere from 13 to 33 years of experience. So one of the outliers on this are individuals who entered the district with more years of experience than my table indicates. So like somebody might have come in and, before 14 years ago with 8 years of experience, they are already bumped up in that. So does that make sense? And again, this is just a sampling of data. This is obviously not, I don't have all of the data. I was working with what I have.
Sure, that makes sense, okay.
But placement schedule. So then that copy you will find behind the transitional schedule you got.
Mhm.
Again, this is open for discussion because basically what I was trying to do is have an even progression
Okay.
and again, because nobody's really, we're kind of first out of the gate. Nobody else has a placement schedule currently
With this.
but I do believe that we still will be very competitive even
Mhm.
with adjusting these.
Mhm.
But it will never truly ensure that those who were unfairly held back with an unfair system set up by Florida legislature. The placement schedule helps to make PSC's teachers closer to whole. The sample data, yada, yada. The sample data showed the PSC average difference between old and new went from the negative $13.44 down to $24 over. That was the average based upon this. And then I did want, because I told you the board, IRCEA board members, I pulled them out. They actually had a
Whether we like it or not.
$390 difference, which was still an improvement of $1,600. The actual savings to the district, again, is hard to say. I calculated it out at about 40 grand, which is next to nothing. But in the long run, it also shows our veteran teachers, we care.
Mhm.
It really does.
I'm
So,
off you guys.
any questions so
There
far?
we go.
It's a lot of work, so thank you, number one, for.
Told you, this has been my baby.
Baby, I think you gave birth to a 14-year-old here.
I
It's
did.
like, this is a lot of work.
So
And I had
step
to be
So
present.
thank you for
4,
doing that. We appreciate this effort.
step 4, we would have to also adjust the performance pay schedule because of, in order to go to that 90 increment schedule, we need to, so we are once again proposing our same that we proposed last year of the effective 1,200, highly effective 1,500. Annual contracts will receive $1 on their first check of the following school year in which they were renewed. By reverting the performance pay back to $300 increment schedule, we can continue with the 90 increment schedule. By moving to a single performance pay schedule, you demonstrate to the 40% of teachers on a professional service contract who have provided at least 13 years or more experience to the district that they are as important as any new teacher. That basically we want to value our veterans who have given so much to our district.
So would you say that that's, as we craft all this together, would that be kind of the number one thing that we make sure that is built into this?
Well, you almost, in order to move to a 90 increment schedule, you do have to go to a 300 increment performance pay.
Right.
Truthfully, I think, in 10 years, you will only have one schedule.
Yeah.
Let's keep this, those of us who have been here for a while, who've made our career in Indian River, let's show them that they are worthy of that. We have given years to this county. I think that that loyalty, unfortunately, loyalty seems to be a lost thing in this day and age. Let's just show it's not here in Indian River.
Okay.
But each year we lose more and more. We're down to approximately, and again, my 40% was based upon last year's numbers. We had 30 retirements.
Well, throughout the year, I know at the end of this year, they finished out the school year, there's 13, 14. So, but if you go back throughout the whole school year, and summer's not over yet, so.
So, you have the retirements, you have resignations, you have PSCs leaving all the time, and each year that 40% gets smaller and smaller.
Sure.
So the effect of this each year would get smaller and smaller because you would be giving the other amounts to the AC teachers anyway.
This is a very, very intriguing piece of work so far.
All right, we have some cost projections.
Okay.
And again, So I calculated out the total cost of the salary increase. It's gonna hurt. It's 6.7 million. I'm not gonna deny it. I calculated benefits out, and again, this was a question I had sent to Mr. Fagan. I believe I calculated it out with 18%.
Yes.
And I think he uses 15, but. so
Well,
18
with
is
the
probably
increase in
conservative.
FRS,
Yeah.
I decided I would, normally, we want to go on the light side, but I
Yeah.
wanted to give you guys the full picture.
Okay,
So the benefits were calculated out at 18%. The teacher salary allocation from the FTE was approximately 3 million. 5% is 150,000. Now, because we're going across the board, I did the 2.4 and all of that and realized, yeah, we don't even need to work. We're meeting that requirement with this plan.
80%,
So
yeah.
I chose not to do, I have some calculations if you'd like them, but we're pretty much hitting that. So yes, it would take 5 million from the millage. I also calculated out the cost of the performance pay increase approximately. Again, that was based on, I actually used the data from Best and Brightest, if I'm not mistaken, in order to calculate this. Again, we're estimating because we don't know how many people are going to be there, but I think that it is the most accurate that we have with the data that we have. So that, and then, so our summary. So obviously moving from 270 to 90, beginning teacher salary, again, boasting the highest in the state.
Good recruiting.
So that's a huge recruiting.
We can recruit the best.
Retention, hey, we want to look at approximately a $6,300 increase on your salary, adjusting the placement schedule, and then changing the performance pay to a 300 increment movement. And we wanted to put this in writing. The entire plan is contingent upon passage of the millage on August 18th. If the millage does not pass, any tentative agreement signed based upon this proposal will be considered null and void. We understand this has to come out of the millage. We know that. And we feel if the millage passes, 4 years would be enough time to make adjustments and hopefully this state get their act together and actually pay for it all.
Are we
Come on,
back in
I'm
the
hopeful.
fantasy thing?
But we understand, so if for some reason,
Utopia, I think we were back there.
if for some reason the millage does not pass, we would withdraw and start anew. So if we could reach the tentative agreement prior to that time, it is tentatively agreed to contingent upon passage of the millage.
Okay, and then when would your proposal, what would the effective date be of this proposal? Is that presuming this?
Well,
or
and
what-
to
what
me,
date
this
that
is for the
presuming?
2020,
Okay, for this
21 contract.
Okay.
Um,
Now, we had a little discussion about, if we were to go a 2-year contract, what would that look like? Or would this be for that entire period of time?
we would be open to discussing that. Okay. Depending on other language and as such,
Okay,
obviously, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I actually, one of the things I did start looking at possibilities
Maybe we can have our
of,
half an hour back.
Give me a proposal.
shifting to a more staggered approach, not doing going the full force, because I do know that's good. But I think that might be harder because of the potential loss for next year. If we made a plan where this year we got this, and next year we got that, next year trying to make up for that difference. If it's already budgeted, it's already budgeted, and we can find the areas that we need elsewhere.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons why I didn't do an incremental proposal.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
No, I think I get it. But kind of, so what I was thinking is all this goes away. So-
Basically, without a placement schedule, this is the new.
Right, so, but even kind of what I was thinking, so what kind of where this stems from is focus. You know, last year, kind of the challenge we had with doing performance pay and putting it as a supplement, and it shows two different places. So to kind of solve that problem now, and you guys haven't received any paychecks yet, so now there's only one salary slot. So you know how it used to say INX 01A or 2B, 2C, that's gone. So there's just the instructional salary line, and it's a range that's set up right now currently from 41,300 to wherever. So my thought is not even having, because new teachers coming in, when they see the placement schedule, they're saying, well, why can't I be on 17A3? Or why can't I be 17C if it says 17A? You know, based on, and so I go through and explain it to them. So basically what it would be is, you know, using your numbers, 47, there would be no step or increment or anything like that. There would just be a dollar amount based on years of experience. And then performance pay, you know, because what people are still trying to do, even if it's an annual contract person that maybe came from another, they're still trying to equate, well, I've been a teacher for X number of years, so I should be on step 21B. And I'm like, no, because it's you're initially placed based on years of experience, and then whether you're a PSC or AC, you're going to move differently on that schedule. So if it's just a dollar amount, when they come in, we tell them, okay, your salary based on your years of experience is $50,000. Then once we process performance pay, your base salary goes up according to whatever is negotiated.
So it's the concept of a initial placement amount, and then it's driven by their.
The white
performance.
cells would not be shown.
Yeah, and then just
See,
take
and
away
I
the
think-
word that says step.
Well, and I,
Or
you
that
know,
row.
something, I almost took that out because we've been using the term increment.
That's the,
And truthfully, I almost did the INX before this so that it did parity,
Right.
and I'm totally open to that.
yeah, and what it does too is for performance pay, we're not bound by $300 or $1,550. We can do it. It's performance pay and it's highly effective. You know, we just increase we type in the number. It's not based on.
People want to look at a salary schedule though. That's, I mean,
But
you know.
It's, yeah, I do, but.
And
it
that's
gets
the
tough.
part and that's where, you know, I mean, by having those $300 increments, you know, I mean, because I actually looked and I just didn't like the $600 difference. I got it down to 45 at one point. But $600 is uncomfortable for me, you know, so I just know that people, first of all, we never had educated our teachers in understanding their paycheck stubs. And believe me, we need to educate our teachers in understanding their paycheck stubs. But the problem is they keep changing, so it's really hard to educate them.
Yeah, and then when you have teachers who are on extended contracts,
It
like,
gets,
well,
and that's where my data,
salary's-
I have to pull individuals out in
Yeah.
order to do a good, that's why I did the sampling, because, you know, you get an ROTC in there, I'm thrown, you know, it throws the whole data. So it is one of those things that people, the majority of teachers do fall on one of these whole numbers.
Yeah.
So, and that's where it's, you know what I mean? And in
Well,
our
and
case,
even-
we do explain to them that, you know, oh, you're SLP, you're a guidance counselor, you have, you're not on there.
Yeah, well, and at the base of it, they are,
Yes,
so,
but it's not reported like that
Right.
on their paycheck.
you know, because you know, if they're earning $53,282, it's because it's a factor of one of these.
Yes.
So,
Okay, so let us absorb, this is a lot of information for me to absorb all in one day. But
I've been looking at it for a few days, so.
I'd love to talked to Dr. Suit and to Ron and Scott Bass about some of this. And, you know, Mike can perhaps help us with a counter proposal or a, you know, whatever. And I think it's tremendous, you know.
No counter, we'll just go for it.
So I guess
did
what I'm saying
behave
is
myself. I did behave myself and
Okay,
not put
thank
a
you.
signature line on there, okay? So you gotta give me that much credit.
I noticed that. So I guess what I'm saying is, you know, let me talk to people and get some
Okay.
more, you know,
It's not letting me
questions
finish,
and
so.
some of this, but this is excellent and I really appreciate you guys putting this together.
Okay.
What you think?
Yeah,
It's really good work. I think that's great. So thank you for bringing that to the table. All right, so, you guys know me well enough to know that I can't let you go without some sort of contract language updates.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mike. You knew we put them to work somehow.
Doing a fine job.
Yeah, you already.
You were happy.
So, I just have three little guys, right? My, one you knew was gonna come back to haunt. I'd like to repropose the concept of, changing out the Roman numerals for just numbers. So I'd like you to take that to your folks and, reconsider that proposal. And then I've started kind of doing a little bit of just language cleanup with by section. So I wanted to propose, a little bit of change into Article 1. Just a couple cleanup items. One of the ones that'll be part of the discussion we had is just so the contract covers as well our virtual teachers when we develop what that looks like. I moved a little language back under V there that was somewhere else that refers back to the prior section. Just kind of clean that up a little bit.
So that was from where?
It was somewhere else, it was like it was moved.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to kind of stick it under there. We have categories that are, it's not organized very well, so I want to kind of get some of that cleaned up. And
Oh, I
then,
see, it's under definitions.
yeah, so I just want to kind of clean that up and put it where it should be. And there may be other issues we want to add to 1.3 as we go through it, but those are the ones that stuck right out to me. Okay, so I'll let you kind of take a look at that.
Do you have this electronically?
Kind of, I have a working copy of the contract and then but yes.
I just
Short
want to get
answer
it
is yes.
so they can see it.
Yeah.
We lost Ren somewhere.
Oh, of the proposals?
Right, just-
Oh, yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yes,
I can send that to you. Okay, so, just clean up on Article 1, and then the second one is, just specific to Article 2, 6A. And previously, it just said, it was vague, and so it said the position of IRCA president will receive benefits. Well, that's not very specific, so I cleaned it up to say, the position of IRCEA president is eligible to participate in the district's employee benefit plans as a full-time participant. That language is more inclusive and includes, you know, your eligibility for the various optional insurances and your ability to waive coverage. So it's just a cleanup item.
And again, this was originally written prior to any of us, I'm sure.
Exactly.
But my understanding, my interpretation of it is that, you know, they receive the full board contribution, even
Yes.
if they are part-time.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's where, you know, because if I'm not mistaken, in this, where this isn't there something about, like, at some point, I mean, there's something about the goal has always been to try and get the president to be a full-time release.
Mm-hmm.
And that they would still, even if they were released, they would continue to receive full benefits.
Yeah, and that's
And
why,
I believe that was the intent of the language.
yes, but it's vague, and so if I was a mean negotiator, I'd say, let's say we got a full-time release, I'd say, well, it just says full benefits, it doesn't tell me what, so you can get medical, but you're not gonna get la 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 la.
Well, there's a benefit
It's not
section of the
specific.
contract.
Yeah,
So I mean, that's where I mean,
yeah,
I think an arbitrator would look at that and understand that. That's why, you know, I mean,
maybe. As someone coming from the outside, I was like, that's not very specific.
well, I
It
think it's
speaks
just
to
in reference to
eligibility.
the benefits section of the contract.
Yeah.
That's, again, didn't craft this language, but I do.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure the full benefits, so that, you know,
Mhm.
all of a sudden we don't say, okay, well, you're only half time, you're getting half a board contribution. You know, and that's, you
But
know, I
the
mean,
old language doesn't say that either.
well, the full benefits, if you look at the benefits language, it does.
So can we just move full benefits?
You can,
Um,
yep, we can put
The
the
position of
word-
IRC president is eligible to participate in full benefits in the district employee benefits,
Okay, I just,
kind of
that's
thing?
full,
Does that,
I like the full.
Full seems to be important to her, so.
but if we move it up there,
Well,
it's still a
And
good
again,
sentence. and-
I'm no longer speaking for myself anymore,
I
I'm
know.
speaking for her, and I don't want her to lose her
That's
board
okay.
contribution.
Neither do
So,
I.
But the point is this, that, so what you're saying is, perhaps we need to say, in the event it goes to a full-time release, they remain eligible for those benefits.
Well,
Is that what you're trying to
but
say?
no, I mean, because even as halftime, I don't want them to, don't want somebody saying she only gets half of board contribution.
Just,
and-
we can just put it in there, is eligible to
Well,
participate.
IRCA pays the other half too, so it's,
Yeah, I got you. So if we add the word full, you're happy?
Yeah, just is eligible to participate in
Yeah.
full,
Okay,
in full
Okay.
benefits
Yep.
offered by the
Just want the full
districts.
full employee
Employee
benefits plans as a full-time participant.
and
Okay.
again, I just want to like review with the contract and
Yep,
everything like that.
that's fine. The second one I'm proposing, or I'm sorry, the first one I'm proposing, Article 1, okay, is just clean up language, take a look at it. Article 2, just that piece of it was problematic for me, and the rest is, with respect to the Roman numerals, I've asked you to review that issue, so perhaps we can have a more readable and easier contract. Because today, even with Roman numerals, and I know my Roman numerals, you have to stop a second and go, what? Just give me the 3, okay? Just give me the 3, let me live with the 3. We find with the CWA contract, employees understand what articles and stuff they're talking about pretty easily with regular numbers, and so we would just propose that again. You guys can decline it, you can accept it, I don't care. But it's one I'm proposing again. Okay. Those are all I had on my agenda with respect to telling you that I wanted to get the goal of the MOU completed this week if we can. Let's figure out what those issues are for the terms and condition changes that you see in that plan. And then perhaps we utilize that plan as the base of the extension for the MOU and not reinvent the wheel.
And also, I just want for the record that I understand that Beth Hoven, right, is working with Jennifer currently, and then we will will we comprise a TEP committee?
I don't know if
But
we're
I do
doing,
think,
we'll have to look at it, that
I
looks like we're gonna be a
That's
committee.
actually Cindy.
That's
Cindy.
Cindy.
Yeah.
Beth is working with me on the recruitment, the ECLS.
that's, okay,
Yeah.
I knew
So-
there was something, but
The
Cindy.
early career
so-
learning labs,
But
for
the
those of
thing
you
is,
who
the
don't know the
contract does
acronyms.
state about the review of a TEP committee, and
Yes.
it does not need to be a large committee, I
Yep,
just
yep.
would be,
In fact, we've gotten some approval to proceed with the Marzano piece. So therefore, it's probably time for us to sit down and go through and tighten up whatever language we want to have as our TEP manual and get that activity done as well. I was hoping to do that after we start, after the August 10th stuff after that date. So I kind of feel like the school opening plan is more important.
absolutely.
And then really kind of getting, this into the
So
wheel.
it's there, yeah.
Mhm.
It's in the wheel.
Yeah, and I'll keep sneaking in some small language updates and cleanups as we go.
I just wanted to like get that on the record, and then there was also, because it would be a shift during the year,
Yeah,
and I absolutely loved that Cindy said this, and again, that we would look at the potential of a hold harmless year
yes.
with
Dr.
this,
Moore's
because so that we can
agreeable to
actually
that.
train and use rather than dive headfirst and read later.
Yeah,
And, you know, I mean, I think that is a much more practicable approach. And truthfully, we have always, and I believe the people at these tables have always believed that our evaluations are designed to improve instruction, not punish teachers.
Yeah.
It is one of the first times that we're really looking at it in that
That way.
light. And I just wanted to acknowledge that.
and I think that's
Okay,
great.
so you guys
That's
know,
gonna
because I'm guessing you don't. So we've talked about doing away with the large Marzano that we have, the huge TEP, and going down to that much smaller Marzano. And that's what we're talking about actually then, once that is approved, we're talking about then making the TEP and that for that, so
So
just,
we want to simplify it so the members can understand it, the principals can understand it, that we make sure that they get the fundamentals of, you know, the software underway, both sides, the principals and the members, and then we use it as a tool to improve instruction rather than, you know, use it as a
gotcha.
kind of a once a year sort of snapshot.
So
kind
are
of
we
thing.
going to
So,
rediscuss the PIP in that process as well?
If you'd like to, we certainly
Okay.
could. You know, there is a world where that is a necessary thing.
And used as a coaching model, we don't have a problem
Yeah.
with it. As a punitive piece, that's where we.
There are situations, you know, we'd have to talk a couple what ifs, but there are situations in which, you know, attitudinal and conduct is related to some of that stuff and is the problem rather than the individual's ability to do the job. So we'd have to kind of get into some of that, you know, rubber meets the road kind of
Well,
issues.
in which case then wouldn't that fall under a disciplinary
Yeah,
action as
perhaps.
opposed to
Yeah.
an evaluative?
Perhaps, but sometimes, you know, attitude can cause poor instruction. So
Well,
which
an
is it?
attitude is subjective too. And yeah, it is.
Sometimes.
I mean, I can tell you right now, when, as a teacher of 8th graders, one of my most
Like,
frequent.
come on, you're not playing fair now.
One of my most frequent things that I phrase to my students, I understand that your intent was not to be disrespectful, but my perception was that it was disrespectful. So let me explain to you why I perceived it that way so you understand where I'm coming from. There are times where I've said something, you know, it may have been in jest, it may have been and it is perceived. So attitude is subjective, and if we're not, you know, I mean, as you said, when it crosses that line, then there are insubordination and things like that.
Absolutely.
But the thing is,
That
an
wasn't
evaluation
discipline.
is intended to improve instruction, not make individuals behave the way I want them to.
So if that is the philosophy, then we have to draw very clearly for people what we're going to use that for. So we've had individuals who have done poorly during evaluations, observations, excuse me. And they're on the wrong track. Maybe they're new, they need to get rerouted
Coaching.
to the right way. You know, that situation is what you see the PIP is used for, yes?
That's
Yes.
how we understood the PIP was supposed to be
Okay.
used, yes.
Okay, and you feel that it's been not used in that fashion?
Not always.
Not
Not
always.
always. Okay, all right, so we can discuss that. You know,
Which is
with
why I brought
that-
it up now with the evaluation, because.
Yep. So if we want to kind of separate those two worlds, that's,
Well, and the thing is, because again, subjective, we've tried, I mean, there's no way the evaluation, the evaluation is subjective too. But at least there's evidence to support, you know, and I mean, and yes, I understand what you're saying, and there are certain elements. I'm not as familiar with the 23, but I know in the 60, there are elements that are addressed with behaviors and
Yeah.
such.
Yeah.
But again, interpretively, you know, I mean, it's just,
so maybe we walk through
Yeah.
what those elements are and walk it through with each other.
absolutely.
Make sure it makes sense, because we can't train it unless we're all on the same, you know, page.
And I also want to just express for the video that one of the reasons why we were moving forward at this rate with the Marzano 23, 2 years ago, when we first started doing last year's negotiations.
It's pre you, it was before you.
Yeah, our TEP committee did address the, that Marzano, and we were very much in favor of it. But at the time, the district was not willing to purchase eye observation, which meant we couldn't use this newer. So the committees and negotiations, I just want, this has been done through the correct process. And that's why we are so prepared to move forward. So I think.
The discussion has already
Yes.
happened.
Okay, that's good to know. So.
A couple of years ago. When the new Marzano was new.
Now we're talking about the new old Marzano, right?
Exactly, the new
Okay.
old Marzano.
All right, that's good. At least we know what we're talking about this time. All right, so that's all the issues I had on my agenda. How about you guys?
Salary was enough. We felt we didn't
Yeah,
want to
that's
overwhelm.
A lot of thinking for one day here.
A lot of math.
So, yep, so we all have homework. I have some homework here, you have some homework there. We have to identify those issues that we need to discuss more with respect to terms and conditions, and then we move forward. So, I want to thank the association for the time, the attention, and the hard work today, and for this dialogue. So with that, we'll end our negotiations today.
We'd like to thank you as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Stop the recording.
I'm trying.
A lot of thinking for Capita.